Hi, I'm Kurt from CB Studios, and today I'm going to show you how to make a foam Viking shield. Now, I've been binge watching Vikings for the last couple of weeks, obviously very much into Lord of the Rings and all that sort of stuff, and I figured what better thing to do for a water bomb fight on Australia Day than make a waterproof foam fun shield. Alright, for our Viking build, we need some materials, as you normally do. Biggest and most important piece is going to be your foam squares. Now these are foam floor mats. You can get them for about $10 for a pack of 4 from Big W and Kmart, those sort of stores, sometimes Bunnings. You want to make sure that you get the solid sheets. Some places like Kmart do stock them with a bunch of holes through them. That's useless for this sort of thing. You need one big solid sheet. It looks like that. Second thing you'll need is you're going to need a soldering iron. Now these ones you can pick up from a bargain store. They don't have to be very expensive. You can pick them up anywhere from $7 to $10. This one's very well loved, but we use that for carving the details into the face of the shield. Next up, for forming the bowl that goes on the front, you're going to need a heat gun. You should be able to pick them up for about $20 at Bunnings. This one also probably as old as I am. But very useful. Doesn't have to be very expensive, it just needs to work. Next thing you're going to need for forming the bowl is you're going to need a bowl. Now this one will go into depth later when we start working on forming pieces. It's just a regular sort of bowl. I grabbed it out of the cupboard. Make sure that it's not too expensive or a soft, cheap plastic. It's got to hold up to a bit of heat. After that, you're going to need your standards, so hot glue gun, super glue, permanent markers for marking out, elastic for strapping the back of the shield, some cutting implements, so we've got scissors and a Stanley knife, and then you need details to paint, so paint and paint brushes. That's pretty much all you need to build a Viking shield. Okay, so to make our shield, we need to turn this big square of foam into a circle. So there's a couple of points that we need to do to actually get to that. First is finding the center. So take a ruler, measure across the inside edges. You don't want to measure in including these little jigsaw bits because they're going to get cut off. So marking out from there to there, we've got 22.5 inches. So you want to go at about 11 and a quarter. So you've got that one there, and you want to do that further up as well. So 11 and a quarter. And then you want to turn to the other side, and you want to go the same size, 11 and a quarter. And 11 and a quarter. Now, grab your ruler, straight across on those two lines there. And there. Now this point here, that is the center of our shield. Now you want to do this on your flat side. Most of your foam sheets will have this sort of grippy side. This will be the back of our shield. We don't want this texture on our shield. They didn't make it out of foam, they made theirs out of wood. This side will also come in handy when carving in your lines, because you'll have a nice flat area to work with and you'll be able to mimic wood grain a lot easier. Now that we've marked out our center point, we're going to have to turn this square into a circle. So, nice neat little trick. Take an ordinary sewing needle and stick it pointy end in right into the middle. Grab a piece of string. You should all have this laying around your house. Throw your scissors onto the sink, very important. And you want to tie just a little knot over your pin. Okay? So, now that we've got that, come over this side, and you want to tie a little loop. And this is where the end of our pen is going to go. So, we've got that attached and a little loop there. Grab your permanent marker, stick it through the loop, and keep your string taut. Make sure that she stays down there. As you can see there, it's moved around. But that has pretty much got our circle there. This is going to be our shield. Your next step, cut it out. That's going to form our shield. Alrighty, now that we've got that cut out and we're happy with it, we're going to start forming the bowl that goes in the middle. Now, most Viking shields of the day had a big metal bowl there that protected the hand, as there was actually cutouts there, and that's where the handle was. We're not going to cut out the back of it, but we are going to keep that bowl section there. So I'm going to show you how to form the foam with a heat gun. So, get rid of your foam. Take out another square. These packs all have 4 sheets of foam in them. So you'll be able to get 3 full shields with bowls out of 1 pack of 4. This is the sheet that we've cut our existing bowls from. So we're going to cut a square out of that, and we're going to use that to form. So what you want to grab is a pen. Mark out your cutting line. Make sure when you're marking this out, you have your bowl, because you need it to be a little bit larger than what you're using. So I think about there should be fine on this, and then any of this excess will get cut off once we're formed. So draw your line, pull off your edging, grab your knife, and very carefully over the edge of the table, so you're not cutting into you and not cutting into your table, cut your line through. This is what we're going to form into the circular handguard. So, grab your heat gun, plug it into power, and have your bowl there. Now what we want to do is gently heat both sides so that we can get a nice even heat and it becomes soft and easy to form. Now it's time to heat up our foam. Now that we've got our foam nice and hot, put it smooth side down into the bowl and press it in. Now what you want to do is you want to press it down so that it forms in, pushes air out of the bowl and creates a seal. Now you can see that's holding down. That's all from the vacuum effect that we've got. So continue to heat it from the inside. Now be very careful because this will be hot. You can see it smoking there. Just press it down. So that it's nice and formed in there. And you've got your nice curve. Now grab a cup of water and gently pour some water in there. And this will help our foam cool down. You can see there, she's just popped out. Just released the vacuum on that one. Tip out your water. And that's the start of our bowl. Now you can see this edge around here. We want to cut slightly around that edge. So we're going to go about 2 centimeters around. Just draw our line. Doesn't have to be super neat. Grab your scissors and cut this one out. And we're going to do a second forming on this one. Alrighty, now that this is cut out, we can form it a little bit deeper. It's not quite as deep as I would have liked. So while it's cold, we press it deeper into the bowl, making sure to keep a vacuum going on that. So keep pushing air out so it holds it down in there. Now that it's in there, heat it once more, and this will help the foam hold its shape. So this now has taken the form of our bowl. So it's gone in there nice and deep. We've got a really good round sort of shape to it. We'll need to trim off this edge so that it's nice and smooth and sits down better against the shield. But we'll do that with scissors once we pop him out. Now there is your bowl. So this is with our bowl. She's all formed. We need to find out the center where we can mark that, or where we can attach that properly. We're going to be attaching it with super glue, but first we need to find how we're going to mark this one down. So grab your ruler and you want to measure across. Now this one's about 18 centimeters across. That's your diameter. So you want to halve that. Line up the 9 with your center. So we do 9 centimeters on each side, and then 9 centimeters on each side. So these little marks here, that should line up to the edges of our bowl. So if we put it there and we line them up, she lines up pretty well, and that's going to be centered. So, nice, neat little trick with this stuff is it actually marks pretty easily just with pressure. So, firmly pressing down on the bowl, twist it inside those marks, and you've got a nice little line of where to put your glue. Grab your super glue, and then press your bowl down firmly to bond it with super glue. So that has now stuck down firmly. When I started doing the designs for these ones, I went onto Google and I just searched in Google Images for Viking shields to get some ideas. Now I use that for ideas on both paintwork and obviously the wood grain texture and how they were put together. So this one's going to be a little bit different to the one that you've seen on my cosplay page. I'm going to do it up with some paintwork on there, but first I have to design the wood grain texture and the edging. So I'm going to do an inset edge, which I'll carve in with the soldering iron. So I'm going to hold my fingers like that, and I'm just going to twist the shield, and that will give me, hopefully, quite a nice little line the same size the whole way around my shield. Okay, now that I've got my rim around the outside, I'm going to mark out how I want to have the wood panels. Obviously, I'm going to make it look like it's several different panels butted together. So I'm going to draw out some long marks following these lines here so that they're all parallel. Then I'm going to draw in some wood grain texture. We're going to go outside and we're going to detail it. I've followed a basic wood grain pattern. Look at Google Images or anything for the references you need. It's important to try and keep it looking realistic, so I've kept long flowing strokes to emulate really long pieces of wood. I've thrown in a couple of little knot designs here, which normally you wouldn't use because they are a bit of a weak point. I've also thickened up these lines here, and that will show me that these are going to be my divisions of the panels, and I'm going to ignore these ones going across here. So it'll look like 4 big panels of wood have been butted together, and then they've put the edge and the metal piece on there. Before I go outside and I start detailing this, I'm actually going to get my, my Stanley knife, my little retractable box cutter, and I'm going to cut a couple of gashes into the surface of the wood to give it the impression that it's been hit with an axe or a sword or something like that. And I'll also take a couple of little nicks out of the corners, which I'll then decorate a little bit further with the soldering iron. But that'll give a nice cut look as opposed to the burned in look. Now, those are my gashes. They're obviously battle damage, made to look like the shield's been used. You don't have to cut as deep as I have. I wanted to make it look like a very worn shield. And so obviously we've got some battle damage on the bowl there, as well as a little piece on the edge, and then a couple of big sort of axe strikes on the side. These are just pretty much what I imagined the shield would go through while being used. You can do whatever you want on there, and if you don't want to have any damage, you can have it looking bright and pristine and new. Now, one thing to remember is these little guys can be very sharp. So when you're cutting your foam, if it gets stuck, if you start dragging it too much, you really need to stop and slow down. You can always cut more foam back off, but you don't want to cut yourself. Don't try and force the knife through the foam. You want to do slow, small cuts, and you want to be very, very careful with what you're doing. Using the soldering iron to score in the details here can be a little bit dangerous, so you want to be very careful with it. The soldering iron is usually used for electronic project work. It actually melts a solder that connects electrical parts. We're using it to burn the foam, and obviously burning foam, it's going to get hot. The other thing is that this foam can give off a little bit of smoke, and it can smell very bad. You want to do this outside. You also don't want to be breathing in the smoke. So doing this section, make sure you're very, very careful and make sure you know what you're doing. All right, now it's time to go and start soldering. All right, so we've done all of our carving into it. I've carved in this little rune here, which coincidentally, apparently, reads Thorin in the runes from the Lord of the Rings films. Now we get on to painting. So it's been base coated in black, and I've gone for a flat black, which will really help me highlight all of these sort of wood grain textures. I haven't worked out exactly what colors I'm going to use yet. I'm going to start painting it and see how we go. I do know that I'm going to infill the runes with gold, and then I'm going to dry brush silver over the top of the bowl here. So the first thing I'm going to do is the gold in that. Let that dry while I'm doing the dry brushing around here, and then I'll go over with silver and probably do silvering on the edge. Let's see how we go. Alrighty, so I finished the paintwork on here. We've got all the gold inlay through the runes, which I thought was going to be a nice little touch. Done silver around the edges, silver around the bowl, and we've done several different colours of brown through there just to give a bit of depth to the wood grain. So starting from the darker colours first and going up progressively to the lighter colours and using a technique called dry brushing. So instead of having a whole lot of paint on your paintbrush, you've got a very, very little bit and it just picks up all the nice little highlights and that sort of thing. So we're going to let that dry, then we're going to come back and I'm going to put some straps on the thing and we'll be pretty much done. Alrighty, so the paint's all dried. She's looking pretty cool. Now, every good shield needs a way to carry it. So what we're going to do is we're going to use some elastic and some foam and we're going to put some handles on the back so you can wear it on your arm and deflect against water bombs, which is my intention, or LARP swords or however you would like. So, you've got your back here. You kind of want to have one strap there and one strap there. One's going to be larger, and that will be the one that will go around your forearm, and then you'll have one that you can hold on with your hand. So, what you want to do is work out where your halfway point is. So we're saying about there. So we want one there and one there. Cut a couple of little rectangles of foam. So you want these to be about 5 centimeters wide on that. Cut a big strip and cut it into two. And this will mount your elastic down. You can use a hot glue gun. You might be able to get your elastic to hold if you just hot glue it to the back. But I do find that the foam like this will actually hold it a lot nicer. So grab your elastic, make sure it's nice and firm. And you want to wrap it around so you've got about 2.5 centimeters on either side. Now this one will form, we might do this one as our upper arm or our forearm. So you want to sort of hold it in place and get an idea of how you can get it to sit firmly. Cut off your elastic. You want to use a little bit of super glue on the smooth side and super glue your strap down. So that's one side there. And if we hold that in place, that should hold nice and firm against our arm once it's glued down. Once again, a little bit of super glue on there. Fold it down. Press it hard. Make sure you don't get any super glue on your hands. But that is a shield mount. And so be very liberal with super glue here on your elastic. And then go the whole way around. And super glue all over there. Just press it down in place and try not to slide it all over the place like I just did. And so that's held pretty well there. So now we want to do one for the back of our hand. Now these are the final little steps that you need to do for your shield. So you're going to make this one nice and small, just so we can fit our hand in and hold it like that. And so our arm will go like that on the back of our shield. Trim off your elastic. Break out the super glue again. Make sure they're stuck down nice and firmly on there. Helps if you're not wearing a watch. See that one there? She hasn't stuck down. So, more super glue. Now, super glue is usually best done in a well-ventilated area, especially with the amounts you've got here. Like any sort of solvent-based adhesive, it does give off fumes. And the last thing you really want to be doing is breathing too much of it in. So we've got a little bit there that could do with a bit more glue. Alrighty. These bits you want to take your time and try and get them glued down nice and firmly. Make sure that everywhere is stuck down. What I might do is I might put a little bit of gaff tape or duct tape on the back of this just to hold everything in place, just as a little bit of extra security as we are going to be using these near water. But as long as you make sure that your plates on the back here are stuck down nice and firmly, you won't have any issues. It's definitely the thing you want to take the longest time with, so you don't have your shield fall apart on you during battle. But those are your handles there. That is the front of our shield. And as you can see, the rune sits that way, so she sits the right way up. She sits the right way up, and then if we spin it around, your arm will be horizontal. That's how your arm sits in there. And that's how you make a Viking shield.